Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Yachts here. Tuesday morning, the Raptors lost to the Celtics, and also the Raptors 905 lost to Birmingham Squadron. So double L day. Ugh. Lots of L's going on with the Raptors organization right now. Fourth straight loss for the Raptors. Also, 10th loss in the Atlantic Division. Yeah, this year has been tough. This year, it's like we had things figured out all of a sudden, but now Yakob went out, and that's really hurt us. We've lost every single game since Yakob has been out. And if that doesn't show enough to people about why he's important for this team or why we invested money in him for the next couple of years, I don't know what will. You know, part of what's going on right now may have to do with the Yakob trade. You know, this is the thing. Our pick got traded last year for Yakob, and it's a pick six, top six protected. So if we end up in the bottom six teams of the league, we keep our first round pick. And in some ways, on the down low, not saying that we use that T word, that, you know, if the Raptors are going to be a shitty team and we're going to be near the bottom by the end of the year, well, that's a consolation prize that we'll keep our first round pick that we traded to the Spurs last year. So there's winning and losing, I guess. I don't know. Either way, I think that's part of it. But I don't know. With this team at this point, I just don't know. You know, the reasons why we lost yesterday were mainly the 3-point shooting. Yeah, 3-point shooting really not happening for the Raptors last night. In fact, there were only 4 3-pointers made for the Raptors as a team last night. That's messed up. That is crazy. And then we had other issues like this. In some ways, I don't know what's going on with Yakum and Scott, with the new guys showing up. I mean, I know that they're aggressive, and I know that these guys like to score, and they're very good scorers, and we like this. But for some reason, I feel like Scotty and Pascal are deferring to them too much, that they are not going and scoring and doing more with the ball themselves. In fact, I thought Siakam hadn't done anything during the whole game for the most part because he'd just kind of been out there. But when I looked at the stat sheet at the end of the night, he had actually scored some. So he did more than I thought. But I thought he just faded in the shadows the whole game for the most part. Siakam. And it's not that he didn't do anything. He was doing a lot of good stuff. It's just that he didn't make himself a prominent part of this game at any point, it seems like. Like, I just didn't feel like Siakam at any point was cooking and just took over and did anything like that. I don't know if the Celtics were very much keying on him. That's why. But it seemed like Siakam just wasn't engaged in the game as far as he could have been, as far as taking over and doing different things at different times. Same thing for Scotty. In some ways, Scotty was active in the game, assists and doing defensive stuff on Jason Tatum. But in some ways, he was not engaged on the offensive end in the proper way. And I feel like that was our biggest problem last night. We need to be hitting on all cylinders to compete with NBA teams offensively, to keep up with them scoring-wise. This became a defensive battle last night. It's very interesting, the low-scoring quarters in the games. And in some ways, we played very good defense. But also at the same time, we got our offense stymied, and we did not score very well last night. I've got 5 stars of the game for both games, and just the regular stuff. This is just a reaction stream. We don't have to go too crazy. Of course, tomorrow we start 2 back-to-back at home with the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls right in a row. Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan right in a row in the next 2 games coming up. So, yeah, that's what's coming up right now on this channel for the next couple days. Next week, I have some new stuff I'm going to do on the channel when we have a few days off. We're going to do a Wild Card Wednesday next Wednesday, and that will be literally, I'm going to open up some cards on the show. A pack of cards that my niece and nephew gave me for Christmas, a pack of basketball cards. We're going to just have fun. The Wild Card Wednesday next week, and Thursday Think Tank next week. And we're going to have a new format for Thursday Think Tank next week where I'm going to do the call-in show during the Think Tank. So there will be the opportunity for people to call me on the channel during the show live, and we'll do live call-ins. We're talking your opinions on the Thursday Think Tank next Thursday, not this week, but next week when we have some days off. So there's a little programming note. All right, let's start off with the comments. Trevor J is here first. Commissioner J, good morning to you. Good morning, Raptors family. Tough loss last night. We got swept for the second time by Celtics. It is what it is. For now, we will be better. Believe that. Yeah, it's weird. Like Jack said, he doesn't like the idea that we're done with the Celtics for the year now at this point. with there's so much time left in the season. We're not even halfway through the season. We'll be halfway through the season this week, but we're done with the Celtics for the whole entire year at this point. Yeah, it's screwy. The NBA schedule is so fishy. It is so fishy in all kinds of different ways. They can set up red carpets for certain teams to have a cushy schedule, and they can give people really unknown kind of weird obstacles that they don't realize. Like Jack and Matt said last night in the game, we just came back from a 6-game West Coast road trip. We had the weekend off, and the first game back is always a tough game back, and they give us the best team in the league. That's not easy scheduling. And a lot of it is premeditated. A lot of it is. Jack and Matt are being more and more open about discussion things. And I'm wondering if they are listening to us, because Jack and Matt were talking about how the officiating's different for RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley now that they're Raptors than when they were Knicks. And there was a certain play on setting up on defense that Emmanuel did something to Porzingis for positioning, and he got called for a foul. And then Matt Devlin said on the announce crew, he said, well, that may have been a foul now when he's a Raptor, but it wasn't a foul for him when he was a Knick. Our announce crew is openly addressing the different whistle for our team compared to other teams now at this point. This is very interesting. I love that Matt and Jack are more outspoken like this, and I hope they continue to have freedom of speech to speak up and speak their views no matter what. Because honestly, your honesty has been refreshing, and thank you. Thank you. And honestly, I understand exactly what you're saying. Keep opening people's eyes and keep fighting the good fight from the inside of the machine. Rage against the machine from within. Matt Devlin. Yes, please. Trevor's also saying you don't need everything to enjoy life. You already have life to enjoy everything. Wow. That is very deep and kind of a riddle. You don't need everything to enjoy life. That's for damn sure. Anybody who needs everything in this world to enjoy life, well, you're never going to get it. Because how do you get everything? That's impossible. In fact, there's an inverse in things, in everything, that where if you're going to have one thing, well, you can't have the other. So you cannot have everything. It's impossible. So it's very interesting. You already have life to enjoy everything. In fact, you know what? We come pre-prepared already with the things to enjoy life. It's just that we make all these manufactured, man-made things around us that sully the whole idea of what contentment and enjoyment and happiness in life has to be. If you're getting happiness through man-made objects like your computer and other things around you, well, you don't really need that. There's a way to live your life where it's very basic, and you can find pure, unadulterated joy without all the external stimuli, man-made wise. That's when you become like a monk and you go up in the mountaintop and you start doing some meditation for 24 hours, stuff like that. Yeah, there you go. Trevor's saying 905 had a game to win, but missed so many free throws. Then they had a second chance to win it again, or tied it, but made a stupid turnover and gave the win away. Horrible coaching. Yeah. In some ways, I hate like watching 905 games before Raptors games, because I feel like sometimes they set the table for the energy of how the team's going to do. And there were parallels once again between the performances of the Raptors 905 during the day in Birmingham and the Raptors proper against the Celtics here in Toronto last night. That, missed free throws were key. There were a few missed free throws in the game for the Raptors last night, but very key for 905 because the G League rules that you only shoot one free throw and it matters like for 2 points. And what happened yesterday was a lot of the 905 guys did not take their free throws serious enough, and they missed them. We shot 50% at the line, like 8 of 16 on the 905 level yesterday. Now, that's not what you think. 8 points is not 8 points they missed. They missed like 16 points because each one of those free throws counted for 2 points, because they don't shoot 2 free throws in the G League. They make you shoot one, and if you make it, you get both the points. If you miss it, you miss both the points. So there was crucial missed free throws throughout the game, but especially in the fourth quarter, when they were trying to claw back. The Birmingham Squadron had been running out to leads on the 905 at the first quarter. They were up by a lot, a double-digit lead. And then the 905 closed the gap by the end of the first quarter, so it was only a couple points. Then they get to the second quarter, the Squadron bombing threes, using their big men to bully us down low, get out to the lead, and then we close the gap again by playing really solid near the end of the second quarter and into halftime. The third quarter, similar kind of thing. We're bouncing back and forth, but never overtaking them, never taking the lead, going from like double-digit losing to them to getting it down to like 3 or 4 points and kind of going back and forth like that. And then in the fourth quarter, when we're trying to make our surge up to take over the lead and win the game, somebody like Daryl Morsell will step to the line and miss a free throw that takes away 2 points from us. It was very, very close. Very, very close game, losing by 3 to the Birmingham Squadron. We had our chances, but the missed free throws absolutely killed us. Daryl Morsell missing 4 points on the board himself. Mogi leaving 6 points on the board. Justice Winslow missing a free throw late that cost us 2 points. Kevin O'Banner, 1 of 3 from free throw land. That's 2 times 2. That's 4 points. Yeah, that's a problem. All y'all that missed free throws on the 905 yesterday, y'all were a big reason why we lost. The second reason why we lost, as talked about here by Trevor J., is the turnover near the end of the game. I don't know what play y'all called at the end of the game, Eric Curry, but whatever it is, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's one of 2 ways. It's either your fault. One way is either you made up that play and it was your choice. You made the coach's call and you called it and it was wrong, or the players disrespected you and they don't listen to you and they went on their own and they did something shitty anyways. Either way, it's your fault, Eric Curry, because either you gave them a bad plan, which was, what is this? Throw the ball into Justice Winslow and let him isolate on the side and try and beat somebody on one-on-one in like 4 or 8 seconds or something like that. That's a horrible play call. Now, either you call that, and that's a stupid call, Eric Curry, or Justice Winslow disrespects you and doesn't listen to you, and he calls for the ball and says, I'm just going to take over and do it myself. It was a horrible play call, either way, by the player or the coach. And, when we're in that kind of position where it's a close game, we could try and win it with the possession. I don't want to see isolation in the corner of one guy trying to beat 2 defenders. I want to see a play where somebody's running around a screen, somebody's getting a ball, and they're wide open, and they're hitting an open shot. That is coaching. That is execution. That is a team that is running at a high level because they can execute a play within seconds that will get them a basket that they need. And that's basketball right there. But the 905 have no coaching, and that's a big problem. And Justice Winslow, well, he wrote his own script, and it was the wrong script. It was the wrong script at the end there. Yeah, it's a wrong script. Let me just do my 3 stars of the game for the 905 game just real quick. My number 1 star of the game for the 905 yesterday was, was Justice Winslow. Even though we lost, Justice Winslow was the most effective, even though he went off script at the end of the game. He was 8 of 12 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 6 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, only 1 turnover, a plus 12 with 19 points. So he was the best player for us yesterday, even though he couldn't take it home for us. And that really wasn't a good play at the end. He was carrying us. And the one thing about Justice is he plays really good defense. And without him and O'Banner, and in some ways, we don't have any defense down there. My second star of the game is Marquise Noel. Marquise was fantastic. 8 of 15 shooting from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. He hit his free throw, 6 rebounds, 11 assists, 20 points. So he got the double-double, only 3 turnovers, a plus 7. So Marquise was fantastic. He was the only one on the court for the 905 playing a team game. He had almost all the assists. The team had 17 assists in the game yesterday, and he had 11 of them. What does that say about things? You know what that says? It says that Marquise Noel is the only one playing a team game for the 905 on the G League level, and every single one of those other guys are in it for themselves. In fact, I saw repeatedly over and over again yesterday with the 905, isolation play, selfish play. I'm all in it for myself. No passing kind of bullshit from last year, kind of Raptors schemes last year kind of shit. These guys are just not passing between each other. And the main culprits are people like Jay Sean Page, Javon Freeman Liberty, Miles Burns, Daryl Morsell. These guys are all really just calling their own number over and over again. And they don't look for each other. And it's a real problem. There's no ball movement. And the only one who cultivates anything is Marquise. And that's when he's on the floor, there are things happening. He's setting guys up. We're getting easier baskets because he's playing like a point guard. But meanwhile, all the rest of those guys are selfish, in it for themselves, G League guys just trying to keep themselves a chance to get in the NBA. And I mean, can you blame them? That's what G League is to a degree, a selfish cesspool of people just trying to barely make the league. And are they going to play like team game like Marquise? No, a lot of them aren't because they're playing for themselves. And that's a big problem. That was a huge problem with why they lost yesterday. There was no team connection. There was no playing off each other. My third star is Kevin O'Banner. Kevin O'Banner was great, 8 of 13 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3. He 1 of 3 at the free throw line. I hate that. 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, +1 with 21 points. Those were 3 best players. Justice Winslow, Marquise Noel, and Kevin O'Banner. Yeah, Javon Freeman Liberty kind of pisses me off. Mohamedou Gueye is not taking care of the ball correctly at this point. He had 7 turnovers last night, and he just loses the ball too much. Although 5 offensive rebounds is fantastic, and but the turnovers are just a huge problem. Miles Burns, I don't understand this guy completely. He's a really good athlete, but he's not a team player in a lot of ways. And then Amari Morris played very strong since he came back from his injury, his hand injury, but last night he did not shoot well, and he didn't play as well as normal. And there wasn't very much bench production in general. There really wasn't. Daryl Morsell and Jayshawn Page, deadwood, just not really doing anything to help anything. And on the other side, Birmingham had a couple of their two-ways show up, and they were very helpful to them to win. Hill and Lewis Jr. absolutely doing big things for them on the other side, playing at a high level. And then their big guys are a problem. Jemison, he's a big, big dude. He was 7 for 7 from the field. And then EJ Liddell, 7 of 12. Both of them getting 16 points and 11 rebounds, both getting the identical double-doubles. So, yeah, 905 losing to Birmingham Squadron in Birmingham, Alabama on the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You know, the jerseys that the Birmingham team were wearing were actually to honor baseball team, honor the Birmingham Barons of the Negro Leagues. And so they took a tour. They were showing a tour that the Birmingham Squadron took of the old baseball stadium that actually the MLB is going to play a game in this season to commemorate some things. So we were honoring baseball at the Birmingham game yesterday. They were wearing baseball jerseys, the other team, the Squadron. Very, very interesting stuff. Too bad that they lost. Eric Curry, you suck. You suck, Eric Curry. My God, you suck. It was such a close game. You had the opportunity. Your team doesn't make your free throws, and you don't have your shit together so you're organized so you can execute at the end of the game. That's just what it is right there. That's what it is right there. Yeah, he said horrible coaching. Horrible coaching. Cowboys here. Good to see a Canadian cowboy. His name is Bradley. Good morning, Lex. Bam, Raptor Freaks. I think we played very well against the Celtics. No complaints. And keep preaching, Trevor J. All right. Yeah, I don't know. Out of the games we played against the Celtics, there was one that was a blowout that was absolutely atrocious. That was the first time we played them. That's the worst game against them this year. This is the second worst. I didn't like the game last night in a lot of ways. I felt like we didn't keep up with them in the right kind of ways. I mean, we were kind of around them and hanging around, but in a lot of ways we weren't. One of the biggest problems is, listen, the refs were fine. The refs were really good with the possession arrow and a couple different other things. The problem with the refs was they were not giving any kind of free throws to Scotty or Pascal or any of our guys. We just don't get free throw calls in the ways that we should. The fact that Scotty did not take a single free throw last night is a crime. And there needs to be a change about that. I don't think that is right, NBA, that y'all do not respect Scotty Barnes enough to let him go to the free throw line yet. Seriously, this kid's going to be the face of the NBA. Y'all need to respect that. And the fact that he did not get a single free throw last night is kind of messed up. I will say that. It is kind of messed up, y'all. And that shouldn't be happening. He should be getting his respect and getting to the line because he's getting hit. Now, in some ways, Scott is like Shaq. He's very super strong. Same thing with OG. It's the same thing that happened with him. They'll let them get beat up because they're so strong. You can't really always tell when they're getting fouled. Well, they're getting fouled a lot, and they're not calling it. And it's a similar thing to the Shaq treatment. The strong guy that you can hit the hell out of and we won't call any fouls on. That sucks. I hate that. And y'all need to start respecting Scotty better. You really, really do, especially when you're so cushy to the other people that are superstars in this league, touch fouls and bullshit like that. Trevor's saying, good morning, Cowboy. Thank you. Anytime. Let's go. All right, Cowboy. Jimmy Pope's here. Good morning, Jimmy Pope. I don't like what Dennis did after the game. That's the type of thing you do when you get eliminated by said team in the playoffs and not with 42 games left. Maybe I'm just different, but that's weak. What did Dennis do after the game? I don't know what you're referring to, Jimmy. You have to tell me what he did. I don't know what Dennis did. Was he buddies with Jason Tatum? Because they're all teammates and they are friends. I don't know what he did exactly. You're going to have to elaborate. I have no idea what he did because I didn't see anything that Dennis did at the end of the game that kind of made me think this kind of thing. So you'll have to maybe explain it. MSJ saying, so another tough day shooting the three, maybe tired from the road trip or whatever. My issue is that 13% is not close to NBA quality yet. Who will be held responsible? Well, I mean, we can make excuses here, Chris. Gary Trent Jr. is supposed to be our three-point shooter. He was not available last night. Our young rookie that's supposed to be a three-point shooter was not available last night. So we had, Otto Porter Jr., another one of our main important three-point shooters was not available last night. Now, we look at our three-point shooting last night. Siakam, 0 for 6. Barnes, 0 for 2. Jonte Porter, 0 for 2. RJ Barrett, 0 for 4. Chris Boucher, 0 for 4. Thad Young, 0 for 1. And then we got the 4 makes, 2 by Quickly, 1 by McDaniels, and 1 by Schroeder. And 4 of 32, 12.5% from three-point land. Yeah, that's the worst thing about our score last night. Definitely. Any of those threes could have gone by Siakam. I mean, that's really crazy. Usually Siakam can make threes at Scotiabank Arena. He's much better. He was shooting better threes in Utah the other night than he was last night. Listen, Chris, it's a weird thing, the way things go with the law of averages and the way things go with trends and changing things. Sometimes you have an aberration going back 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. And we've had a step forward with our three-point shooting in recent weeks. We've shot way, way better. Well, maybe we just had a little bit of a step back all of a sudden in this game in particular, but it's not the norm going forward. That this may be 1 out of 10 games now where we usually shoot closer to 50% from 3, where we went back to our old ways from earlier this season. So that's part of it right there. In some ways, we've had a trouble in the last 2 games with players that are on our team not producing and not playing up to the high level that they can. And that's a big part of the problems with the three-point shooting. You're saying who will be held responsible? Well, we just didn't have it last night. We didn't make the shots. In some ways, we can hold the Celtics responsible for a good defense. I don't know. We could hold the NBA schedule makers responsible for making a really shitty schedule for us and us being tired coming back from the trip. I don't know, Chris. Do we need to point fingers? Can we just say we didn't shoot well? How about that? Cowboys saying, I think you're right, Dana. I believe someone is getting moved. I trust in Messiah. So let's go Raptors. Okay, she erased her message and you still kept yours. And I don't know what she said. So we can't do that. Let's see. Chris is saying, my point being after the first 1 for 20, stop shooting the 3. You know what? In this league, you have to, though. It's mandatory. You have to keep shooting the 3 no matter what. You cannot just say, we're not going to shoot the 3 ever again for the rest of the game. I get that kind of idea, but in some ways, you got to shoot your way out of it, just like a shooter would. You got to just be like, we're going to shoot our way out of it, and we're going to finally get there. I mean, Gary would have helped a lot last night in certain ways. I don't know. In some ways, Scotty should have made some threes. He was hesitant last night. Scotty was not playing the normal way he normally plays. In some ways, Scotty was kind of letting everybody else do everything around him. He was doing defensive stuff, but he could have been more aggressive with trying to score from outside. He only took 2 threes, and he missed both of them. Let's see. Jimmy's saying 3 for 1 before Yak went down after the trade. Lost every game since he went down. Just got to swallow this till he comes back. Still a long season left. Yeah, that is the biggest difference right now is that we need Yakob. Yakob is important for us to win in all kinds of different ways, whether it's had to do with stuff with Porzingis last night, whether it has to do with freeing our guys up by getting good picks and screens, whether it has to do with, being a hub and a passer. Now, all y'all Jonte people, you found out last night the limits of Jonte, and that is fouls. That this guy, in some ways, has not learned how to play the NBA, or he doesn't have the respect because he's such a young player with the refs that he's going to get in foul trouble. And that's what happened. In the second half, when he came out, he played for like 10 seconds, got his fourth foul, and then he didn't come back in the game for the rest of the game. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Is there's inexperience with Jonte, and you go mix in, the disrespect that you're a new guy. We're not going to give you any calls, and boom, stuff like this is going to happen. Some of the stuff he was doing wasn't that bad. It's just they were going to call him for touch fouls at this point, just because he's so inexperienced. That's the difference between him and Thad Young. Is that Thad Young is not going to get those calls because he's been around the block and he understands. But yeah, Jonte only playing 15 minutes as his first start as an NBA player, 2 points, 1 of 5 from the field, 4 fouls was really what the problem was. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block. Yeah, that is a tough game for Jonte last night. A tough game, a learning game, a learning lesson game. And that's just how it is. All right, let's do the stars of the game for the Raptors game. My number one star is RJ Barrett, the hometown hero out there, 11 for 19, 24 points in 36 minutes. He missed all 4 of his threes, but 2 of 3 at the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and a -4. Yeah, RJ was fantastic. In some ways, I really love the stuff that RJ does. I don't care when RJ misses. I'll live and die with RJ, y'all. I really am ready to live and die with RJ, whether he makes it or not. People are going to say he's inconsistent. I don't give a shit. I trust that guy. He's a winner. He's going to do what he's going to do, and I want him to do it. Because honestly, I'm glad he's on our team, and I'll ride or die with him, win and lose with him, and however it's going to go with RJ is going to go. After the game, he got really mad at the French question guy at the end, where he asked, "So what's the difference between you missing all those shots in Utah and you're making them here?" And he's like, "Nothing's the difference." And then he left the table speaking in French. Yeah, RJ's a badass. And listen, he understands. It's like there's going to be winning and losing in the NBA. And in some ways, he's not going to hold his head after a 4-game losing streak. He's going to say, look, we have more work to do. We have more to figure out, and we got more to get done. And I am excited about continuing to work with this team to get it in a better winning percentage. And that's the same kind of thing he was doing in New York already in his career for the last couple of years. So number one star is RJ. My second star is Dennis. Dennis was one of the better shooters last night. A lot of the guys could not shoot worth a crap last night, but Dennis was all right. 5 of 9 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds for Dennis, getting in there and getting rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, -15, 13 points for Dennis Schroeder. No bench points, hardly whatever. So Dennis giving us 13 points off the bench was crucial and key. We had a really hard time scoring in this game last night. 96 points is the total that the Raptors got. And, Dennis having a scoring punch and being aggressive to make shots was important. This is the thing. For some reason, we're seeing newer guys on our team like Dennis Schroeder, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley be more aggressive and going to take their shots. That was one of the problems with our team, is that these guys are not aggressive guys. And it shows. These guys are way more naturally aggressive and going to find their offense. And Yakum and Barnes are just in some ways just kind of chilling. And they're not actively pushing to get their shots like these guys are. And that's the difference. Y'all can look at it and say, Dennis is a ball hawk. Dennis is trying too much. He's trying more in the way that they need to be trying more. And that if they were more like Dennis and Emmanuel, they would get more shots. It's just they have to be aggressive and looking for them, and they're not. And that's really frustrating. In some ways, that has been a problem all along with Siakam, and on a smaller scale, low-key Barnes also. So that's the thing. They need to be more aggressive. And these guys could rub off on them and make them more aggressive because they're aggressive. That's good. That's good. When we see RJ bulling his way to the basket and doing what he does, that's good for Scott because he should do that stuff too. And he can. Oh my gosh, he can do it. In some ways, I hate how much we're missing out on things that Scotty could be doing on the court because he's just not doing it yet. There's low post stuff that needs to regularly happen all the time that should be going to the well to get water every time. That we need to go and do that stuff on the regular, and it should be mandatory. and we're just not doing it. It's the things that find Scotty Barnes with Derek White on his back, and he's making a big shot over him because he's a big on a little guy. And that's the stuff we need to find every single game, continuously, as much as possible. As much as possible. My third star of the game is Thad Young. Thad Young did not score in this game. Thad Young was not like one of the most impressive guys, but he did some amazing things out there. 16 minutes, a +6, 0 for 4, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. He was just adding winning plays and doing glue stuff in really awesome ways. Nobody else on the team I felt like giving any more respect to other than Thad after that, as far as playing at a good high level, even though he didn't score. 7 assists in 16 minutes. He was the straw that was stirring the drink. And in some ways, I love what Thad did out there, even though he didn't score. I could give honorable mention to Scotty. He got a double-double. 10 points, though. That's just not enough scoring, Scott. And 5 of 12 is just not good enough. 2 assists. See, that's not even what you're normally doing with that number. 4 turnovers. Yeah, it's just not a good enough game from Scotty in some ways. I thought he did a really good job on Jason Tatum. I'll give Scott a lot of credit for the defensive stuff on him. That was important. Yakum, like I said, it seemed like he didn't do anything in the game, but at the end of the game, I see, he got 17 points. He got some rebounds. He got some assists, but he's just really in the background. 5 of 15 from the field, so he didn't shoot well overall, and that was a problem. Quickly was not efficient. 8 of 20 from the field. That was a lot of shots missed, and 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 21 points. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind him shooting, but he needs to make more of them. And in some ways, he wasn't absolutely as confident in shooting as he usually is. Chris Boucher was a mess last night. In a lot of ways, Chris was absolutely chaotic for us and a problem. 0 for 4 from 3, 1 of 6 from the field. That's another player that did not play that well that we needed to step up with so many people out. You could say that, a few of these guys dropped the ball. Jonte, Scotty, Pascal, Chris. These guys dropped the ball. They did not play up to a high level to help the team. Emmanuel, even, I could say that. Jalen McDaniels, 2 of 5, 1 of 3, 2 rebounds, 5 points, and one of the worst plus minuses on the team also. Yeah, it just wasn't a good team effort overall. And with the injuries and the people missing, the 3-point shooting was really bad and just wasn't good enough. I mean, the fact that we played and hung with the team like the Celtics that close with shooting so badly from 3 is a small victory. But Emmanuel said after the game, it's like, I don't care about that. That doesn't matter. Even if we shot so bad from 3 and hung with the number 1 team in the league still, that's no kind of victory for me. I just want to win. And I'm glad he said that. I'm glad he said that for sure. Yeah. Bryce is here. Good to see Bryce Lawson. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Good morning to you, Bryce. Trevor's saying, remember, people, Rome didn't get built in one day. We have to go through this to get better. It's part of the process that no one likes. I don't mind this part of the process. I don't mind it. In some ways, I just want to watch basketball in progress and good things continuing to build. And in some ways, I don't care if we're in a bad place and we're failing. In some ways, that's part of the process, as we've been saying. And in some ways, I have this patience. But does a lot of people in Raptors Nation? I don't know if they do. I don't know if they do. I don't know if they exactly understand just how much a coach retooling and coach reculturing it takes for it to get around to the right and good stuff. Part of the problem is when you get into these situations, some fan bases are too impatient, then they want to get in a coaching carousel. And I ain't about that. I ain't about that. And neither is the Raptors organization in their history as a franchise. We've had 10 coaches in our almost 30 years existence. And we ain't about switching coaches in and out year to year just to find things, unless things are absolutely failing. So we need to allow Darko, once again, to continue his work and get established and to continue to build culture. It's so important. And anybody who's making knee-jerk reactions about our coach and whether we should keep him or not, or have him fired or something like that, you're crazy. Because we need him to continue and continue to build this culture here with this team, because it's good stuff. It's a more offensive culture than Nick's culture, and it's going to bear some really good things in the long run. It's just y'all may be so impatient then you may like get halfway through the process of establishing the new coaching culture of Darko. And then you know, something like you'll get too whiny and you'll say, we need to fire him. We need to fire him. And then something stupid happens. No, we don't want to do that. We need to keep him time and be patient. Because the problem is when you fire him, you start somebody with news person, they have to start the whole process over again. And y'all will not be patient for that person either. So that's what I'll just explain to people right now when it comes to the coach of the Raptors. Patience is a virtue. And honestly, you need to give somebody a fair shake as a head coach. You actually need to let them coach 2 or 3 years. You can't just decide everything after half, not even half a season, because they have played a half a season in the next 2 games. After the game against Chicago, that'll be 42 games. And that's half a season. Y'all are already basing all your opinions on him. That's what I would just caution people that are being too negative or coming at Darko in certain ways right now. You got to be patient because you're going to have to go through that whole process all over again. We might as well go through it and get it over and done with and get to the good stuff by sticking with a guy and not just toss him out with the trash, just like you do every morning when you got to take that garbage to the street. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's right. And Firebolt's here. Good morning, Lex from Rabbit Freak family. Good morning, Firebolt, holding it down on the Atlantic coast in Newfoundland. Yes, yes, and yes is what Cowboy's saying. Jimmy's saying, as someone that used to play competitive sports for like 10 plus years, you always believe you have a chance to win at the highest level, even if the odds are stacked against you. Mamba mentality. That's right. That's right. And in some ways, our characteristics as a team over the years of Lowry were very much this kind of way. We had no business beating certain teams. You know, think about that road trip a couple of years ago where we went to Phoenix and Denver and beat both those teams in their home arena on a back-to-back. And that is not an easy one. Phoenix to Denver, and Denver's the second night of the back-to-back, and we beat the NBA champions before they won the championship on that back-to-back road trip. That's impressive. That is super, super impressive. And we've been in these situations where we play teams where we have no business beating them, and we did. In some ways, that's a factor that I want to find again with our team because we don't necessarily have it right now. We need that ability to go above and beyond and have success on a high level against a team we have no business beating. And I want to see more of that as the season progresses to go through the second half. We need to beat teams we have no business beating, especially now because we're behind the pace of making 42 wins. If we're going to make that up, we're going to have to do that. Now, if we're not, we're going to go through a lot of losing. Well, then we get to keep our pick from the Spurs. Yeah, we get to keep that pick because we'll be in the bottom 6. And if we're in the bottom 6, we keep the pick that we got traded for Yakob last year. So we'll have to see. Let's see. Firebolt's saying, we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We were fortunate to avoid injuries for the beginning of the season. Things will turn around. I have hope. You know, I really think that Yakob's going to get healthy quickly. In fact, I'm sending all these healthy vibes to him right now. The fact that he was involved in practice right away on Sunday is very good. It's very, very good. In fact, we're hearing rumblings. More people are asking about Koloko and Josh Lewenberg, really asking the Darko in the press conference, what's going on with Koloko? He said there's no change to his status, but he is working a little bit more around the team. And that's what they're saying about Christian. But, you know, that's the thing. If Yakob comes back, well, then we have a better chance to win these games. In some ways, we have not had a very good chance with him not in the lineup. And that it just shows how important he is. Just how important he is. Jill's here. Good to see Jillian Moody. Good morning, everyone. Masai was in France shopping for Tijan. Okay, so Masai's scouting in France right now. Okay, that's good intel. I'm sure he's always working, and that's where he is right now. Okay. Cowboy saying, I thank crazy about the draft pick. What? Thank crazy? I didn't know that, Lex. Smash the like button. Oh, about the draft pick, about things, what I just said. Yeah, if we lose, if we're one of the bottom 6 teams, we'll keep our draft pick. That's the consolation prize. If we're above that, in some ways, that kind of is why I guess Masai and Bobby are like, if we're going to be mid, if we're going to just miss the playoffs and the play-in, why wouldn't we go all the way down and keep our draft pick from last year? I don't know. We'll have to see. In some ways, I want things to just be natural. In some ways, Darko's already kind of tipped the cap that this kind of struggle is going on with the team once again. To should I stay or should I go? It's the classic song from Combat Rock. It's like, should I stay or should I go? Should I win or should I not? Because I need to keep this first round draft pick. It's that kind of thing right now. In some ways, we don't want to get caught in the middle. In some ways, Darko really wants to win because it's his reputation, his coaching career. And in some ways, he wants to look good. But in some ways, maybe Bob and Messiah are like, you know what? We'd like to keep that pick that we traded Yakob for. And in some ways, it doesn't matter to us how much you win. Maybe this is why, as Cool Cat said before, that the team doesn't care about winning. That's why they haven't filled the empty roster spot with a center to fill in for Yakob while he's out. Maybe these 4-game losing streak right now is part of the plan. I don't know. In some ways, I hate the idea of doing things like that, but I can understand the strategy. And once again, the whole basic thing that I think about on this channel the most is trusting Messiah and Bobby. And whatever they're doing to steer the ship, it may not look like it makes total sense sometimes to everybody, but there is a madness to the method. That there's a reasoning for it. There are very much good reasons for why they're doing what they're doing. I'm sure there is. Yeah. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Happy Tuesday. Keeping it positive. We're building chemistry and subtly sussing out who should stay and go. I'm hoping and confident front office looks at performances and availabilities. Great words by Trevor J. Yeah. Thanks, Fiercey. No, I this is good. This is the one thing we got to do here. If there's one thing that the Raptor Street channel is, we're an oasis for being positive Raptor fans, no matter how dark or whatever is going on with our team. In some ways, I hate the fact that the Celtics have beaten us 2 straight years in a row, sweeping us 2 years in a row, 8 games in a row. That is messed up. That is messed up. In some ways, I feel like that is very, very much something that was designed and wanted by the league. And they got sick of the Raptors kicking the shit out of the Celtics for so long that, they want to make sure this wasn't going to happen anymore. The Celtics are on the rise, and they have been a very high-level team recently. But the fact that they have not lost to us in 2 years is kind of messed up. It's kind of messed up. And if we had somebody like Carl Lowry on our team right now, he would be saying this, like, this is no good. We can't do this, y'all. We can't be getting swept by them 2 years in a row like this. Kyle wouldn't let it happen. That's for sure. That is for sure. Infamous is saying, salute, freaks. Not putting the blame on him, but I have to admit that the Scotty isolation ball near the end of the third kind of messed up the flow in the game. There was a lineup out there in the third quarter that was absolute dog shit. They couldn't score. They couldn't score worth a crap. And there was a couple of things that were going on with that lineup that were kind of screwed up. Chris Boucher was doing a little bit too much in that lineup first. Emmanuel was trying to force things a little too much. And once again, like I said, the problems of the 905 were kind of mirroring later in the game with the Raptors. And the problem was, in that period of time, it really got not passing. The ball got too sticky in individuals' hands, and they went into ISO mode. They went into more on my own kind of mode. And there wasn't as much going between each other to garner good high percentage shots. And that was part of the problem. There was a stretch from like the middle of the third quarter into the fourth quarter where they didn't score any points, hardly at all. It wasn't just the Boston defense. It was also the Raptors were not sharing the ball or looking for each other. And that was a big, huge problem at that time. Now, I'm not going to say Scotty specifically because they were all guilty. If you ask me, they were all guilty. Let's see. G saying, good morning. Tijani is said to go around 15, which may give us ideas of teams Messiah is speaking with. Darko basically said he didn't expect to win, that they are going through a transitional stage. Yeah, I know that he wants to win. He's going to try to win. But in some ways, also, he understands. Like, this is the whole fight that Nick and Messiah had last year, is that Nick wanted to win. Nick wanted to help his coaching winning percentage and also wanted to win because, he was in win mode all the time. And Messiah was saying, well, in some ways, I want to develop. I want to, figure out what we're doing for the future. And kind of, in some ways, it's not as important for us to win now. And I think that that's another natural struggle between a coach and a front office, where the front office is kind of like, it's not that we're totally rebuilding, but we're kind of just retooling and kind of going through the motions of figuring out the next part. And the coach is really trying to get their coaching career off the ground and have a good winning percentage. In some ways, I really do care about winning also, because I want our franchise winning percentage to go up. I don't want to have all these losses against other teams. I don't want to get a culture of we lose often around our team. We had a culture of winning around our team. for the last 10 years. And that's one of the things we got to really watch out about with this. A transitional stage indeed. Yeah, but Darko's going to try and win as many as he can in those transitional stage. Yeah. Jill saying Celtics barely lifted a finger last night. I don't know if that's the right characterization. I don't know if that's the right characterization. I mean, they play a certain style. They have a system. They're very well organized, and they have good shooters. And in some ways, the shooters were very good for them. In some ways, we didn't get totally killed by Porzingis, which is good because I was really worried that was going to be a thing that was going to happen last night where Porzingis absolutely killed us. Now, he just got the line a lot. They used him to get fouls and put him on the line. And he only scored 15 points. He could have gone crazy. And it wasn't even Tatum that went crazy. Tatum missed a lot. He did get a lot of rebounds, but it was the two guards that absolutely killed us. Derek White had the best game of anybody on the game. Drew Holiday also very solid also. So both those guys were very tough. And then White, of course, hit a big three at the end of the game that put it kind of out of hand. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't characterize it like that. I would say this, Joe. It may look like they're not doing a whole lot because they have their shit together and they know what to do. And maybe they don't need to expand as much energy in certain ways because they have it very much figured out. And I would say that. Let's see. Jimmy's saying after seeing Dennis give his jersey to Tatum that says go get the chip this year with 42 games left is crazy to me. Pisses me off. I don't care what anyone says. Dude waving the white flag. No, I mean, listen. All right. And you know why I'm going to defend Dennis, of course. All right. So he traded jerseys with Jason. Okay, they're good friends. They played together. Dennis was on the Celtics, and he's friends with Jason and Jalen. He's talked about that on his channel. And he said, go get the chip this year with 42 games left is crazy to me. Well, I mean, he's being realistic in some ways. In some ways, the Celtics are one of the favorites to win the chip. And I guess that Dennis wants them to win, that's his choice for them to win. I'd like him to say that to them over the Lakers in some ways. He could have said that to LeBron and Austin Reeves, but maybe he doesn't feel like they have a realistic chance, which is true. I don't know. In some ways, you could say that. There's not even 42 games left. I get what you're saying. We're not going to play them again unless we play them in the playoffs. And then if we get to that point, I'm sure Dennis will be in a different mode by then. I don't know. I'm not going to get upset about this because in some ways, what's the point? In some ways, we got enough to worry about, and this is not something that really matters. Dennis wants to do a jersey exchange with Jason Tatum, and he told him, go get the championship this year. That's his right. That's his right. We don't play them again. And in some ways, it's up to him to do that. I mean, I can see why you're upset about it. Not, you know what? And I'm not mad at you for getting upset about it. I think in some ways you should be, but I'm going to let this pass. In some ways, it's like you got to decide whether you want to get upset about every little thing or not. And at this one, I'm going to let it go just because the prior relationships Dennis had as a Celtic with his teammates on that team. And that's the whole thing right there. Trevor's saying the Celtics were doubled up on Pascal every time. That's part of it. That's part of it. He's not going to get the ball. Him and Scotty may get shadowed a little bit more. And that's why the opportunities were more abundant for Quickly and Barrett to score instead. That could very well be a big part of it right there. I mean, this has been the case all season. The Siakam's going to get the extra attention on defense. And that may be part of the reason why he's not shooting as much as the other guys. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. I'm not even moved by the game. Yes, RJ and Quickly are confused by the whistle now that they're Raptors. Yeah, I think that RJ gets it, but in some ways, Quickly's probably not real thrilled about it. You know, this is the kind of shit that makes it hard for a franchise. This is the kind of shit is much worse than the cold or the taxes. Is the bullshit with the league and the being unfavorable to us as far as with the calls. It is what it is. In some ways, we got to deal with it to a certain degree. We can call it out. Maybe we can get something changed. Jack and Matt talking about it more on the broadcast will hopefully help. In some ways, the NBA just gets caught red-handed and blatant kind of stuff. Maybe that will change things over time. I don't know. In some ways, we're smart enough now, NBA, to understand the difference in the levels of officiating with different teams. And y'all are kind of on notice. We can see right through what you're doing. And maybe the smart people should just stop watching, and then you'll just have a really dumb gambling base to make money off of. And all the smart people will keep their money away from the NBA because they know just how fixed and how much of a scam it is. because in some ways that's all you can do. It's like, what are we going to do about this? Tyler Ford's a great ref. I thought that they called a lot of good calls last night, but that is true. The foul calls were not fair as far as like what is contact on both sides of the court. It's not the same. It is not the same. You're right. Infamous is saying, I agree, Lex. There is subtle things that I notice that support your theory that we're maybe losing on purpose. I noticed lineup manipulation in key moments of the game. I don't think it's Darko. I don't think it's Darko that's trying to lose a game. I think that I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe it. I think that we are trying to play out to win, but in some ways it just doesn't add up to winning. Some of the things that y'all were saying in the chat last night, like Stillman, is that it's just we're not as talented as the Celtics. And playing against them, and they have these different weapons and different players and stuff like that. How does it add up? We've got to go above and beyond. And in some ways, that's not totally easy, especially when you don't have your starting center. So I don't know. I don't know exactly. In some ways, I don't want to say that we're doing anything purposefully. I'm going to say that what we're doing is what we're trying to do. And if it doesn't add up to winning, it doesn't add up to winning. In some ways, you want to garner a lifestyle of saying, I'm going to make everything a win no matter what. And if we're going to lose, well, let's look at the winning stuff about the losing. How about that? That's the contingency plan. If you're going to have, make a no lose scenario, even if your team is losing, well, we're going to hopefully keep this draft pick. Well, this is this and this. We can develop these young guys a little bit more. You just go into what you can make progress on and find the positives in the losing is what you do. Jill's saying, I keep reading that Darko said bad things in the interview and then go listen, and he made statements that explain and in good ways. Yeah, I don't know who's saying that. Once again, like anybody characterizing anything in their own opinion on Twitter or Facebook or anywhere, I don't listen to them. They don't matter anymore, Jill. So anybody who said that Darko said bad things, don't listen to those idiots. Who the hell are they? They don't know what they're talking about. Darko said what he said, and I watched the interview, and it didn't sound like anything too crazy to me. He is making light that we do get different whistle than other people a lot recently, though. He is saying that. G saying OG went to the line again for 4 free throws. He went many games, and I mean many as a Raptor with 0 free throws, just like Scotty last night. The Knicks lost their game against the Magic also yesterday. Jill saying, and how to win against number one, especially without Yakob. Well, you got to really buckle down. And in some ways, our team's just not the same dog team that it was a couple years ago that would have had this chance. In some ways, these are the things that Fred and Kyle had in them that we just miss right now. There's everybody who hated Fred VanVleet last year, games like last night were games that he was shined in. Games like last night. Yeah. Y'all don't understand how much Fred was important to this team, just like Kyle before him. And the factor of those two guys would have helped in a game like last night. We would have played way better, and we would have possibly won the game last night. Mo's saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Energy was in the arena. Full 48, please, forever with my team. 905 is for later. Yeah, she was there. She did her best. She brought the vibes. Well, it's just what it is. It is what it is. She's saying that they need to play a full 48. Well, I feel like that's true. And it's not just the effort. It's they got to have an offense for the full 48. And that dull, dead moment in the third quarter into the fourth was absolutely killed us for the team, for the game. It's just that period of time where we could not score absolutely hurt us because we were really kind of battling with them. We took the lead at a couple times in the second half, but all for naught. And missed free throws also really killed the Raptors also. Just like the 905 yesterday. Key times, people stepping on the line and missing a free throw is deflating. It is deflating. Wayne Strainer saying there's no negative feedback on the loss apart from my concern about Quickly's low assist numbers and Jonte's shooting woes. It's not a critique, just an observation. Can't win for shooting threes. Yeah. I like what Wayne's saying here. He's like, look, he doesn't like how Quickly was more himself than passing. And I agree with this. I feel like he could have been looking for people a little bit more. The way I want him to play more like Marquise Noel and less like Javon Freeman Liberty. Let's just put it that way. Jonte's shooting woes are going to happen. It wasn't even his shooting woes that their issue last night. The problem with him last night was fouling and getting into fouling situations too much, too early and quickly in the game. They put him in foul trouble right away. They were watching him real close. And in some ways, Porzingis is such a difficult guard with his long arms and stuff that he can manufacture fouls on people in weird ways. And in some ways, it's just the inexperience of Jonte Porter knowing how to play against a special talent like Kristaps Porzingis, that he got baited into some of those fouls by Porzingis, the wily veteran. And that was part of it right there. Yeah, we couldn't win in that shootout last night because we didn't have any threes. Nobody hit no threes last night. Very, very bad. Very bad. All right, let's see what Randolph's saying. Good morning, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Blessings on you and yours. Whatever life throws at you, know that how you respond will determine success or failure. Love. That's what I'm saying. All right, Randolph. So if life is throwing an unfair NBA at me, how do I respond as an NBA team, the Raptors? Well, I keep working harder and harder. I work harder than anybody else in this whole entire league. I bust my ass and I overcome it anyway. And that's what we did in 2019. And if we know we've done it before, we could do it. It may be harder to do it the second time because they figured out, they could do it this way. And they may make it harder for us to try and get there. Well, we're going to figure it out and we're going to try and find it and get there anyway. We're going to try and find it anyway. Whatever life throws at us, how we respond to it. Well, we're going to keep trying harder, and we're going to go, and we're going to go get success. If we gave up, it's failure, and that's the difference right there. Thank you, Randolph, for your blessings, and blessings to you and yours also. G saying, I watched that play again. Option 3, Noel was open on the corners, so maybe the play was to get it to Noel, and Winslow fumbled it. You're talking about the 905 play with Justice Winslow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, he seemed like he was very well guarded, and he didn't seem like he was looking for anybody. He had his head down and his back to the basket, and he was backing them down, trying to bully them into the play. So I don't know. I don't know if he was actually supposed to give it to him or he just went off script, because it looked like it was very much just all about Justice Winslow on that play, and that is it. That is it. But yeah, it was fun to watch the game with you. I always enjoy being in there with you guys. Kareem Thomas, Cool Cat showing up late and coming in there too. Cool Cat saying, I think it's unfair to our players to be put in a situation again without a backup center. I hope our players do not risk injury trying to defend 7-foot centers. We know Koloko is out now. Yakob. Yeah, I'm with you on this. Once again, I think we should have a regular roster, and it should have the correct number of centers. They were running double centers on us last night, those bastards. They put Porzingis and Cornette out there for sections of the game. Those motherfuckers. We don't even have one center. Then they put out both of their big men on the Celtics side last night a couple times. They did. I saw that. I was like, what the fuck, Joe Mazzulla? We handled it pretty good, though, considering that they put both their centers out there against us. Most saying, as I said in the chat, the players are coaching themselves, not Eric Curry, in reference to the 905. Yeah, I mean, I just want to see him get out of there. Can we just finish this year and get Eric out of there and get a new coach? And I want a better coach. I want a coach that's actually a coach and not an office guy. I want a coach that has fire, a coach that will demand respect, a coach that maybe did it before, like Jerry Stackhouse, that the players can be like, yeah, that's Jerry Stackhouse. He played in the NBA. He was UNC Tar Heel. He's got all this stuff. That's the kind of person that these guys will listen to, not this dude that's a water scientist. What the fuck? Seriously. Dana's saying, good morning, everyone. I had to rewrite my comment. I think our lineup needs to be looked at and tweaked a bit more, and we need Yak and Bobby to go get us another center. Yeah, we need Yak. Yeah. And Bobby, yeah, get us another center. Yeah, I think there's still some changes. I mean, this is the thing. We had it good right after the trade. There was a little honeymoon period. I think that we can still get back to that. But, in some ways also, we don't totally want to make all of our decisions about our team because of now when Yakob is out. This is not necessarily the best time to gauge our team completely. But I think the idea of getting another center is what we should learn from this the best. All right, Chris has given me a super chat. Thank you for the $10 super chat, Chris. That's very kind of you. And he's saying, if we aren't hitting the 3, do something else. Darko has to say so. I think we let the Celtics get an easy win. I'm getting the law of averages, but I'm talking about a singular game. It's coaching. Well, it's just that the NBA doesn't allow this anymore. In some ways, the 3 is absolutely mandatory for you to win games. I don't see many teams like just totally ignoring the 3-point shot and winning anymore. It's a firepower thing. It's as simple as 2 points don't add up to 3 points. Then how many trips down the court do you have? So in some ways, it's absolutely essential. I get what you're saying. And maybe that would have worked in the past decades when the 3-point shot wasn't so center in the NBA game. But at this point, you have to have it. It's just mandatory. And in some ways, that's part of what Bobby has to do is build our team better so that we're more capable night in, night out from 3-point land. And that we have starting from the bottom. Seriously, it's not just a Drake song. We're starting from the bottom with the 3-point shooting. Think about it, and we're trying to build it up. And like I said, there's going to be an aberration sometimes where you go back to your old bad habits, and your 3-point shooting looks like it did earlier this season. And well, it's looked really good since the trade for the most part. Well, yesterday it took a step back. It took a step back just yesterday. Cool Cat saying, believe it or not, Celtics had bad 3-point shooting nights where no one can make a three. Curry had a few games where he missed all of his threes. It happens. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of stuff is going to happen. In fact, I don't think the Celtics played that good last night. They missed a lot of shots last night. We had our chances, but they played just good enough, and they're organized enough, and they've got certain character guys on their team that know what it takes to win. Well, they get it done. They get it done. They just have their shit better together. We had some injuries also. People say, well, Jaylen Brown was out. Well, Jakob in some ways is more important to us because Jason Tatum is out there still, even without Jaylen Brown. Monique is saying threes will fall eventually. I'm here whenever they do start falling. That's right. She's going to be there. She's going to be there all week. I think she's going to both these games coming up tomorrow and Wednesday or Thursday also. She's going to be at all these games this week is what's happening. Cool Cat saying shooters can't be emotional about missed shots. You have to just keep shooting in rhythm of the game without a conscious. It is what it is. Yeah, the thing I'm worried about is like RJ and Emmanuel showed up with a shooting confidence, and well, I don't want it to erode because of being around our team and other people missing it rubbing off on them. And I wanted it to be the opposite, where their great shooting is rubbing off on our guys, and they start shooting better, like Gary Trent or Grady Dick. So in some ways, it can go either way. And we need to encourage the good shooters to encourage them to spread it on the other people and not the vice versa, where the bad shooters are getting the good shooters to shoot bad. No, we want the bad shooters to get shooting better because the good shooters are shooting good. And that all can be interconnected. That's why everything matters on the court. That's why what Darko said on the wall of the OVO Center, he rendered it out. Everything counts. Everything matters. If you miss a free throw, it matters because it can make somebody miss their next free throw. You miss a free throw 3-point shot, it can matter because it can mean that the next guy's going to miss his 3-point shot too. You miss a free throw. You miss a layup. These are down. Why did you miss that layup? It was right there. That can really affect your team's confidence. And that's why everything matters. You got to make stuff happen, make those shots, and confidence goes up. That's important. It's important. Fiercely saying thank you and agree, Jimmy. People are quick to forget we begged for a legit center as we were getting beaten badly in the paint. We got Yak with instant results and went back to complaining. I believe he's one of our top 5 in pick and roll action. We need Yakob. Yeah. Well, if anything, the absence makes you grow fonder of what he does for the team. All you Yakob people that were wondering about why is he on this team? Why did we do this with this trade? Well, do you know now? Seriously, does it take 4 losses in a row for y'all to understand why Jakob is important to this team to have a chance to win? I think they know now. I think they do. Chris is saying, have to say to the players, you can shoot the 3 after you slash, set a screen, do the dirty work. If your 3-point shooters are out, why expect them to start falling? We should have run like hell. You know, the game's tempo was slowed down. This was a very slow-paced game. You look at the score. It wasn't a normal kind of NBA game right now. That was on purpose. That, Coach Joe and the Celtics knew that one of the strengths the Raptors have had with their offense in the last couple weeks has been getting in transition. Now, I said this before the other day to Jill when she asked this. Why don't they just run them on the ground all over and over again? Because it's not up to them. They don't get to decide whether they're allowed to go fast down the court. The referees can control the pace of the game to a degree, and they will stop transition game from happening in all kinds of weird ways, whether it's making you side out and wait for the defense to get down court, whether it's just like calling fouls quickly in transition or just getting the tempo slowed down. The Celtics were actively trying to slow down the tempo, and the refs were commiserate and helping. And that's part of it right there. That is part of it right there. Let's see. Jill's saying, yes, we all keep saying that we need an additional Yakum. We just need another center. We need another big guy out there. And, this is something we've been saying for years. I keep saying that. Cool Cat and I have said for like 2 years straight, Bobby Webster, we need 3 centers on our team. You got one. When you got Yakob, you got Koloko. That's 2. You need a third one. And I don't think Jonte counts right now. Cool Cat saying, one bright light, our defense was better last night. We were able to hold Celtics to a lower score. Barnes and Siakam focused on Celtics big guys. Yeah. I think this Scotty's initiative to guard Jason Tatum was fantastic. The fact that he's switching off of Jason to do big guy stuff too, was fantastic. I think that you're right that our defense was very solid last night. In fact, it was a better defensive game than a lot of the games on the West Coast road trip as far as containing the Celtics to a degree. There was a whole section in the fourth quarter where we made good stands and got stops. The whole problem was we couldn't execute at the other end and make the baskets for ourselves. That these were issues. But yeah, we did a really good job holding them down and not allowing them to score to a degree last night, for sure. Jillian saying, Lex, Scotty was aggressive. He did the dance with Tatum. It's all over social media. Yeah, he was good on defense, but he was not aggressive with his offense. He was not aggressive on offense. Carlos saying Boucher kept chucking them. Threes was frustrating to watch. Yeah, he was bugging me. He kind of pissed me off last night because he was not playing within himself. He was playing very like all over the place and not good shots. They weren't good shots. Seymour saying, is it me or does it feel like the refs are giving us bad calls, making sure we don't have a chance? They steady call bad calls on RJ, trying, not trying. They are killing his drive to play hard. Yeah, I don't think the refs did that much last night. In fact, there were a lot of calls that went in our favor. There were a lot of 50-50 calls, like out of bounds calls they gave to us. In fact, they were hurting the Celtics for the first half for a while there. So, no, I'm not going to blame the refs. I thought they did a good job. Tyler Ford was fine. Like Jack and Matt said, he's one of the best young refs in our league. And, I don't blame them. I really don't blame them. I thought that they were very fair. And in some ways, we lost that game because we weren't as good as the other team. We didn't shoot as good as the other team. And we can't really blame the refs. Now, in some ways, they're retraining Emmanuel and RJ to being Raptors and how the refs call them. Yeah, that's the annoying part that we're seeing in the game like last night. And that's what you may be seeing. Let's see. Jill saying Celtics barely lifted a finger. Cool Cat. I don't know why you keep saying that. They played hard and they played well. It's just that when you see it like that, you think that because they have their shit together. They just know what they're doing. So they don't have any extraneous motion. They know exactly where to be at what spot. They're like a well-oiled machine. And sometimes when teams play like that, it looks like they're lazy and they're not playing that hard, but that's not true. Let's just put it that way. They worked their ass off too. They did. Let's see. Carlos saying, as Seymour Pape, yeah, there was definitely ref manipulation when the calls retook the lead. The Celts retook the lead in the third. There may be a couple calls that were a little funny, but nothing too crazy out of pocket that I was like, that is absolutely the wrong call. No, it wasn't like that completely. I was paying close attention to them, and I was making sure. But, there were a couple calls that went against us, yeah. But there's going to be calls that are going to go against us. It's just the amount of how fair they are both ways. Now, we could look at the team stats real quick and see that they did shoot way more free throws than us. Not way more, but enough of more, right? They shot 4 more. So, and they made 7 more free throws than us overall because we missed 5 free throws and they only missed 2. So there's a +7 advantage at the free throw line, and we lost by 9. That's 7 points that we could have made up. But the real advantage they had was at the 3-point line. We made 4 threes. That's 12 points. They made 16 threes. That is like 52 points. This is like a 30-something advantage on the 3-point line from us. See, this is the thing, Chris. You say we go away from the 3, don't use it. Well, do you understand how many more 2-point field goals we have to make and get as opportunity to make up for that difference and that much of a difference, that's a lot. That is a lot. Holy crap. 12 times 3. 12 times 3, 36 extra points they got from threes above ours. Yeah, that's no good. Well, they did out rebound us by 1 rebound. So they won the rebounding battle technically 53 to 52. Assists, 25 assists. So we didn't get to our 30 assists that we like to have. That's what I'm saying. The ball was sticky. We weren't sharing the ball as well as we could. One area that we did make up for things was in the turnovers. We took care of the ball very well, and we had half the turnovers they had. And that was one of the things that kept us in this game. We doubled them up on points in the paint, 60 points in the paint to their 28. So yeah, there were areas where we dominated them and we did really well. And then there were areas where we absolutely got killed. 3-pointers. 3-pointers. Yes. Mo's saying stars of the game for her are RJ, Dennis, and Thad or Scotty. Okay, similar to me. Similar to me. You're going to put Scotty in there too. Fiercely saying never complained about Dennis. Only when we were playing against him was a pest. Having him with us, I like it because like you say, Lex, he creates offense. Whether the shots drop or not, he tries. Yeah, and he's trying to get other people involved, which is really, really good. I did not see this whole thing after the game that's got Jimmy so upset, but I can see him doing that. And in some ways, I'm not mad at it. I really am not. He's got family with those Celtics guys because he was with them as a teammate, and it is what it is. Yeah, Dennis has been really good for us to be on the team. He's the kind of player we need. Fiercely saying he's the world MVP, legitimate, and are respected. That's right. More people should respect that, and they don't. It's sad. Let's see. Neil saying Pascal and Scotty scored the same. The difference is Pascal got to the free throw line. When Scotty can draw more fouls, he will turn into a bad night into an all right night. There you go. I like that. I don't even think it was that bad of a night. It's just I wanted him to be getting more aggressive. Carlos saying you can see how differently a team like the Celtics operate. They don't even rely on Tatum. No, he's there to do a lot of glue stuff. He's doing important stuff, but the guards were more focal last night. Drew Holiday and Derek White, they were more focal for sure. G saying that definitely gets more respect from the refs. I didn't even think of all those refs were all those fouls. I didn't even think all of those were fouls on Jonte. Yeah, they weren't. Not all of them. They're welcome to the NBA. You're a new guy. You're getting to start for the first time. Well, this is what you got to learn. We're going to give you the tough lessons right away. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's Kristaps Porzingis. He's been in this league for 10 years. You can't do that to him. You got to go through the fire and learn. That's part of the problem with this. This is part of the problem with the youth movement. All the youngsters coming in and saying, oh, we just want to take over. Well, you're going to have to go through this bullshit that the refs put y'all through. And even if Scotty's got to go through it, and eventually he will get the calls. But there may be like a year or so that he doesn't get any respect or calls. And our franchise has to go longer. You know, Siakam got certain calls at a certain point when he got a certain level of all NBA and all-star. OG, he never got calls the whole time he was here. And Scotty, it's just going to be like that. You're going to have to fight through it, and you will get the respect and the calls, but it's not going to come right away. And it sucks because in some ways there are guys in this league that get the calls right away. And it's not fair. It really isn't fair. Let's see. Seymour saying, what's the point of showing up for the game if the ref's just going to give it away? I don't feel like they gave it away, though. That was the Laker game for sure. And you sound like Darko last week. Let's see. Darko, we got your back. NBA has your wallet. Sticky situation. All right. G saying, we need to continue to encourage RJ to stay aggressive. Fans, please do not become negative about his misses. He needs to continue to be aggressive. All of them. It's basketball. You're going to make him miss. And don't listen to Knicks Nation. They're idiots. They're going to try and make it sound like what they wanted, what it was like for them. They're going to see like, yes, he did this for us too. I was like, I don't care what he did for y'all. I care about what he's going to do for us. And I feel like he's going to do better and better as time goes on. And yes, people need to be patient in some ways and not nitpick so much. In some ways, yeah, he had a bad game against Utah, but he had a good game last night. And he's had mostly good games for the Raptors since he's been on our team. Carlos saying MLSE also has a new CEO, has been described as the same as Lewicki. It seems to be a good thing. This is something that I heard recently, that there's a new CEO of MLSE, and you're saying that he's like a Lewicki guy? Well, that's a good thing. Tim Lewicki had a very good positive effect on our team, and I like hearing this. So Awesome. I don't know anything about this. I saw just a blurb about it. I didn't look anything into it. I should probably look into it. Mischief saying when Raptors were up by 7 in the middle of the third, they shoot 3-pointers in a row, missed them all, and kept shooting it until we lost the lead. It was so frustrating. Yeah, and this is where Chris and you guys are sound the same. Maybe when a couple of those threes don't go in, go down low and start switching it up. That's what Chris is probably saying the most. It's like, yeah, they keep missing, go down slow, make the shots there. All right, I can get behind that, Chris. I can get behind that, Mischief. Fiercely saying, yeah, Mischief, they clearly didn't read the room. It is what it is. I don't know what was going on there. I think Chris was settling for threes too much, for sure. Jill saying, if Masai was in Europe to find people, then I don't think they're interested in losing. Yeah, I don't know. We don't want to lose, like it just in general. It's just it's a byproduct of being a sports franchise. That every team's going to lose to a certain extent. It's just you want to minimize it. You want to minimize it. Bryce is saying we would be in dreadful territory if we tanked for the pick, and saying we had a worse season than the hurt Grizzlies would not be good. I'm not about losing, and I want to try and win as much as possible going out. But I'm just saying, if it gets like that, the ship has sailed into bad territory for the season record-wise. Well, let's make the best of the positives about it. Let's make the best of the positives of it. Carlos saying, I'm hoping we don't get our pick this year. It's reported this year's draft is going to be flat. Yeah, see, what's the point of doing all that losing just to get somebody who's not even going to help us totally anyway? So, yeah, there's no guarantees on this, and I'm all about going for wins. If you have me choose whether we should lose more to keep our pick or not, I'd rather win and try and win out and get to the playoffs and get some playoff experience for our guys and have more winning culture around our team in general. Jill saying, yeah, tanking for the pick makes no sense. I like that, Jill. Mugabe is saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks. You notice Scotty scores dropping because teams are game planning for him now. That's why his stats are down. That's part of it. That should be part of it. I think that Emmanuel and RJ are a huge part of it also, that they've shown up and they're taking bigger pieces of the scoring pie. And there's nothing wrong with that. In some ways, we want Scott to develop more as a glue guy, all-around guy who does things on the defensive and the offensive end. In some ways, Scotty's taken over that OG role of taking on the tough defender on the other side. His stuff may take a dip because he's exerting more energy trying to chase down and limit Jason Tatum and LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard and stuff like that too. So, yeah, there's a couple of reasons. That is definitely a reason too, Mugabe, that some of the attention that Siakam gets, well, Scotty's getting it now. He's getting that attention. Bryce is saying, I doubt it. There are a lot of hidden gems in this year's draft. He thinks there's a good draft. So we're hearing two different things. There's a good draft and a better draft. Carlos saying the following year has a better prospects. Okay. Listen, in some ways, I don't really play the season with the draft in mind. The draft is just what happens after the end of the season. And I don't want to do anything with winning and losing in our season with the draft in mind. In some ways, I don't care about that kind of stuff. Let it happen the way it's supposed to happen, and we'll make the best of whatever pick we get, is the way I look at it. Sometimes driving yourself to like the first pick or keeping your pick because of this scenario with the trade, it's not always the best way to carry your team, because you may get into other kind of like motivations that aren't helpful to your team, and losing on purpose is never a good motivation to have. Never good. Fiercely saying, don't hate me, fam, but we must part ways with Chris Boucher, Gary Trent Jr., Jalen McDaniels, and try to find good replacements. They don't add consistent value to the team. Keyword consistency. That's interesting. I mean, that is a big difference between somebody like Derek White, who was a bench player for many years and now is a starter, and what he became. I mean, I listen, I'm more against trading Chris, but that's only because he's Canadian, than those other guys. I'd be okay with the other ones. And MSJ saying fiercely, why hate you for the truth? Why hate you for the truth? No, we're not going to hate you for any of that. You guys have your opinions. We'll listen to them. G saying, I worry that some of our fan base gets on aggressive players and call them selfish. It's almost like we make excuses for passive play and punish those being aggressive. And Bryce is putting up on that. Well, this is a problem. This is part of the thing that blunted the edge that Dennis had at the beginning of the season. In some ways, they may come after Emmanuel and RJ in this way. These fans are not real fans of our team. In some ways, they see good things happening with our team, and they try and make it confusing. I'm sick of people being overcritical of our team. And people that are criticizing the team overtly all the time, they need to just shut up. And once again, I'll say this. The less we listen to these people, the less we have anything to do with them, the less power they have. I've cut so many things off as far as that I used to listen to in the last couple years around Raptor spaces. I cut almost all of Twitter. I just don't read comment sections on Facebook anymore. I just don't deal with that stuff hardly at all. I'll go and check a little bit to see what the opinions are around certain subjects just for things for this channel. But for the most part, I am not spending any time listening to anybody's opinion about this team that is just somebody who's tweeting on Facebook or tweeting on Twitter. I don't give a shit what they have to say. And I would say this too, G. Let's stop giving these people an audience because they're always going to be there. There's nothing we can do about them. And in some ways, we just like, who cares? Let's not even listen to them. Let's not give them views. Let's not even see what they're saying. They'll just be out in the middle of the woods talking themselves. How about that? How about that? Jill saying, we just stated Messi was in France looking at Tijane, so a flat draft is perhaps not our concern. I don't understand that statement. Listen, every year the team is going to go look at people that we're always scouting. It doesn't have anything to do with whether this draft is flat or not. Masai being in France he's just being in France. I don't know. In some ways, it's a weird comment. So yeah, this draft could very well be flat. I don't think any of these drafts have been that good in the last couple of years. I mean, besides Victor and Chet, otherwise, most of the people that are coming in the league suck, and they're like not that interesting to me. So I'm not very big on getting people from the draft right now. I think the Raptors Nation overvalues the draft. And honestly, as an old head, I see the young players coming up. They suck. Most of them aren't prepared. Most of them don't understand the NBA game. They come unfinished. So why are we thinking about the draft to save us? These are long-term projects at this point. A lot of these guys who come in the league can't play right away, or they suck. And that's why I'm like, I have no value in the draft and draft picks or any of that kind of stuff like other people do. Because in some ways, you want to just get people who are already bona fide in the league. And a good example is the treatment of Jonte Porter and his fouls. It's like you're going to have young people come in the league and they're going to have a learning curve. They may not even know how to play the game properly. You know, there's all kinds of issues. Look at all the wheel spinning we did with Malachi Flynn. Come on, y'all. And so I don't value draft picks. I don't value trying to fix ourselves through the draft. So if somebody says it's a flat draft, I believe them. I believe them because there's no Victor Wembanyama coming out this year. Yeah. And Carlos saying, believe me, they're better prospects the next year. See, if we only have our pick from Detroit, the 31st pick, and we pick Zach Edey, I'm fine. I'm fine. That's all I want to do. Pick Zach Edey with the 31st pick, Raptors, and I will be good in the draft this year. I don't care if we have a first-round pick. I really don't. I really don't fucking care because I don't value drafts like most people do anymore. I used to say, yeah, the draft is a great way to build your team and get better. Now, the draft's shitty because the players suck. They're too young. They don't learn enough in college. Some of them are coming in and they're just so like selfish and just not the right kind of players. Why would I value these people? Why would I value them? Unless they're special and good players. Like Grady's a good example. He's not ready. Why the fuck did we draft Grady? He's not ready to play in the NBA. That's what I'm saying. It's like I don't value this draft anymore. It's just stupid at this point. Fiercely saying Thad doesn't score, but he helps. I haven't seen Temple enough to suggest anything. But the few times we see him on the court, he's alert and very cheerful and supportive from the bench. That Garrett Temple's an okay player. He can hit threes. He's a pretty good defender, and he gets up and down the court, and he can handle the ball a little bit. But his leadership is a great thing. He's really in there talking to people. He's a great mentor. He's a great advice person. He's a great vet. He's fantastic for people like RJ and Emmanuel and Scotty to be around. And, he's giving a lot. He's doing a lot of good things out there. Trust me. He really is. Really, really is. Seymour saying, if we get Alex Sarr, he is the future center for us. He's another Wembayama Holmgren. I want him. Alex Sarr, go do your homework on him. If you know, you know. All right. Alex Sarr, another really skinny, slender man, is like 7'4" or something like that. Okay. As long as he's not super heavy and looks slow as hell. Maybe I'll go look at him today. Maybe I'll go look at him, Seymour. Carlos saying, and we now have that second rounder for this year. That's right. And Bryce is saying he's a god. He's a god. God. You're talking about Alex Sarr? All right, I'll have to go look at him. You guys are saying good things. Mugabe is saying, "Hi, is this really Scotty's team? Because I see IQ and RJ not looking for him after Pascal's being traded. Will he become third option? Because RJ and Emmanuel are going to get theirs." Yeah, I don't know, Mugabe. Let's not worry about all that. Let's not worry about that. It's a night by night basis. I mean, some nights Scott will step up and be absolutely the man. Some nights it'll be Emmanuel. Some nights it'll be RJ. Some nights it'll be Pascal. And let's not even talk about Pascal being traded yet. It's just we have options, and different guys can do certain things because of mismatches or whatever. But we need that kind of stuff. Carlos saying we need to go for that play in this year. Plenty of time to make a push. I would like to make the play in the playoffs still, even if we're kind of in a weird place. Yes, I would too. Patchouli G's here holding it down in the prep kitchen. I thought you are Raptors first. Dennis saying go to get the chip is very bad taste. It's inappropriate. No problem with jersey switch. The message is disgusting though. Dennis really is clueless. I don't know about this. I mean, listen, we got to be realistic about this. Seriously. In some ways, the Celtics are set up to go do this. I know I hate the Celtics too. And I hate that they did this in some ways. But in some ways, it's like he's up free to be a person. And that, this league has had people that are friends with old teammates and old teams still. I mean, I don't know. I get what you're saying. And I am Raptors first. I didn't see it happen. Maybe if I saw it, it may piss me off more, but I didn't actually see it happen. I didn't hear him say that. I saw him give talk to Jason and smile. That's all I saw. I didn't even see the jersey swap. So I don't know. You can say it's inappropriate and that kind of stuff, but he's a human being. He has his own right to live his life and make his own choices. And in some ways, yes, this isn't the Vince Carter club with everybody. I'm friends with everybody in the NBA kind of friendship club. And that's kind of annoying to me. I don't like that kind of stuff. But in some ways, once again, I'll give Dennis a pass. You guys can say he's clueless about this and the message was disgusting, but I think that's over embellishment. Jillian is saying Dennis will definitely get asked about this. Maybe not. Maybe people will understand. Like, look, this guy's a former teammate of theirs. And in some ways, maybe he is rooting for the Celtics to win the championship if it's not going to be the Raptors. We don't play them again. So in some ways, he's clear for that. If we still played them, then I would have more of a problem with how he treated this. Sure. But we're not online to play these guys again. It's not very likely we will. Now, if we get through the play-in and we're in the 8th seed and we get to play them in the first round, then, that'll be different. I'll bet you Dennis will have a different attitude about things. Yeah. Let's see. Mugabe is saying, Lex, stop picking up for Dennis. I'm going to. Because in some ways, he's a Raptor. And just like Fred last year, I'm going to defend my Raptors. And in some ways, Dennis, this is a nitpicky thing. We got so many other things to worry about that this is something we could just let slide and just not have any problems. I mean, in some ways, think about it. Y'all want to nitpick about this and make this worse? Y'all want to pick the scab and make it bleed? Because that's what it sounds like to me. In some ways, y'all could get the fan nation more riled up and anti-Dennis if you want to go on this narrative very strongly. Is it going to help us? No, it's not. It's not going to help us. So in some ways, let it go is what I'm saying to y'all. Just let it go. Maybe it wasn't the best idea. Maybe it did look really bad. But in some ways, it was a moment. We can let it go. We could do far more damage by turning more and more of our fan base against Dennis Schroeder than helping anything by being like, oh, that's why I'm going to look past it. It wasn't even really a game situation thing. It has nothing to do with winning or losing in some ways. It's his own personal opinions as a person. And once again, I'm for freedom. And I'm disappointed, sure. But in some ways, it makes sense. He was on the Celtics. He's friends with Jason Tatum. He did what he did. So I would just caution that. There's no reason to get more pitchforks and torches coming after Dennis this next day. I get it. Y'all are upset about it. That's fine. But that's the reason why I'm standing up for him, because I know this can get worse, and we don't need Fan Nation to get more worse about it. Jill's saying, we are talented, Lex. The strategies worked last night until we missed 3 shots in a row. Then the confidence seemed to wane. Yeah. And that may be some of those bench players that y'all pointed out are inconsistent and that we need to get changed in and out. And I can get behind that. Some of those guys, Gary right now in some ways is just kind of like, eh. And like, in some ways, I'm just so sad about Gary because I feel like he was really building up in the last couple of years. And this year has not been building up. It's kind of sad. Seymour saying, imagine winning the cup in the summer, being a world champion, and now you're coming off the bench for a new guy. IQ, too much going on in the system. I have faith things will turn around. Mo, was that by accident? Okay, I don't know what you're asking Mo about. You know what? Listen, the NBA and FIBA are completely different. You cannot say this for Dennis from FIBA World Cup and then this. It doesn't make any sense because it's totally different. That's part of my reason was saying we need to start Dennis because he's a FIBA World Cup MVP, and we did. But at a certain point, we get better usage out of him off the bench, and he understands that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think he's upset about coming off the bench after IQ. He was very important last night as our main bench guy. We didn't have Gary. We didn't have a lot of things last night like Yakob and Otto and Grady. So we needed a bench guy, and that was Dennis Schroeder. He was our best bench guy last night. Mischief saying Otto Porter Jr. is always injured. His days are fragile. He's too fragile. I mean, hopefully we can get Otto back sooner than later. I know I'm sick of hearing y'all complain about him being out and stealing money. I mean, I hear that. It's so tired in some ways. Seymour saying, I forgot he was even on the team. MSJ saying, if it is true, we needed an inspired game and to shoot over 50% to beat Boston. They're such a good team. Maybe Jokic can beat them for the chip, but maybe Tingus Pingus was the right addition. Laugh out loud. Well, listen, if it's going to get back to a matchup between the Nuggets and the Celtics, I want Jokic to repeat. I do. I want Denver to beat the hell out of the Celtics if they get to the finals against each other, for sure. For sure. Trevor's saying, Darko said Jonte is a good shooter and wants him to keep on shooting the ball. He's trying to figure it out. Yeah. Yeah. And he'll get, listen, it's a learning curve. Jonte's got a lot thrown at him all of a sudden really quickly. And in some ways, he's got to figure out the fouling situation before any of the other stuff can be figured out. Chris is saying, I guess you're right. The Raptors just aren't good enough and the damn refs to control the tempo. Bothered me anyway. Yeah, I mean, you know, in some ways it's talent levels. In some ways it's organization and where we are with our build and where we are. We're very fresh. And a lot of the teams around the league have had their nucleuses together for a bit, and they're a little bit ahead of having time together in reps. There's a natural thing like this. Now, this is part of the problem I have with fans that want to tear it down over and over again, is because just like the coach thing I explained earlier, takes time to establish things and build off of them. And that's why microwave culture, no patience kind of young fans are the worst, because they want constant renewal. Whereas in the NBA, you build stuff from having a monument, a monolith that just sits there and sits there for years. This has always been the case in the NBA. The best teams in the league are together for like 7-8 years. And, teams that are just thrown together and you expect everything to magically happen, and then you're upset and impatient, you throw guys out, bring new guys in. Well, you have to go through the process over and over again. Like, we made this trade. We have to go through a process of integrating and orientating these new guys. And it kind of is a reset to a degree on some ways. So that's the problem. Every single time somebody says we need to change our coach, we need to get new players, you got to understand it's resetting every single time and starting over. And all the things built up by the Celtics over the last couple of years with just making small adjustments but keeping the same kind of structure and system can be added to and built up. And we're starting over to a degree, and we're trying to build up. But y'all can be impatient, and we won't allow us to actually build up. And you'll say, we need to strike down again. No more of this, y'all. Just let them do their jobs and just let the team grow the natural way it's supposed to grow. Do you go to your plants in your garden and say, grow faster? Do this. You know what? You didn't grow fast enough, tomato plant. I'm ripping you out and I'm putting a potato plant in. Does that make anything grow right or get done right or get anywhere with results? No, it doesn't. It's stupid. Why would you rip out a tomato plant when it's half grown? It's not even close to giving you any fruit. You need to let it grow in the ground and continue to grow and stop being so fucking impatient. Because if you tended your garden like that, you wouldn't grow anything. And it's the same damn thing with the NBA team. And I hope that's a good example right there. That's a good example. Cowboys saying, let's go, Raptors. What's up, Mountain Standard Time? Okay. And Chris is saying at Jill, the Celtics gave us professional loss. They played it right. We just didn't play as well as them. And we if it had been a different night, maybe if it had been us against them in the in-season tournament, we might have beaten them. because they weren't as good as they were in other games where we played them earlier this season, and we played them closer. So, there's different levels of standard of play that you come into the game each and every night. Some nights it's very high. Like when we played the Clippers, we played a very high standard of game. It's just that they played a very high standard game, and we saw a very high standard game that was close, but we got beaten by Hall of Famers. It's just that you come in on certain nights. Like last night, we did not play a very high standard of a game. We shot very poorly. And, that's not good enough to beat not playing a very good game either, Celtics, but their system, their superstars, their reps are going to beat us in that case because they have more good going in their system. And they didn't shoot that well either last night. It's not like the Celtics were super great last night. They did not have a very good game, and they were ripe for the picking. But we needed to be perfect, and we weren't. We didn't play that well. We did not. Tristan saying Siakam is a leader. That's right. He is. He is for sure, Tristan Phipps. Fiercely saying NBA Chev said, if we hit at least 14 threes each game, we're in a good position to win. I believe next tweakings need to be 3-point shooting, 1 or 2 more centers, solid bench unit, then we're Gucci. We're Gucci. I love it. No, I think that this is a pretty good wish list. I think that we always got to be getting better at 3-point shooting. That's been our biggest Achilles heel, something that we ignored a couple years ago in our developing and making our team. And now we need to come around and add it. And I think that's partly because Masai and Bobby think that there's a lot of good shooting around the league, and you can make that up later. It's the other stuff that's harder to get. Jill's saying, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Seymour. The Raps lost. Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure what either of y'all are referring to, because those kind of comments are like dead ends. CountryCon saying, good morning, Raptors freaks. Lex, the first half was so exciting. RJ was attacking the rim with force every time he got the ball. He was taking Tatum to school. I think we lost the game in the third quarter when he sat. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely lost that game last night in the third quarter, and about halfway through it. Yeah, and I could say this. I think you're right. RJ was really stirring the drink, and I love those layups he does. He just gets a little bit above, or he's just a little bit quicker. He speeds up right at the end of his drive, and he finishes it really fast, and all of a sudden he's beaten somebody like Porzingis, who has longer arms than him, and thrown it up over, and it bounces off the backboard in. He's had a lot of work doing that. He's had a lot of trial and error with the Knicks over the years, making those kind of driving layups. And, oh, man, I love him too. He's so fun to watch, JP, isn't he? And I love that he's doing it for us, man. And he's the Toronto guy. It's so cool. Fiercely saying the T word clearly isn't a good strategy. Look at the Spurs. They went from tanking for Wemby to tanking with him. You know what, Fiercely? You're going to get a dunk for that. That's kind of funny. It's sad but true. And I was hoping that he'd have an instant winning effect, just like David Robinson, just like Tim Duncan, but he doesn't. He doesn't. Speaking of Tim Duncan, I will say this. There's things about Jonte Porter that remind me of Tim Duncan. There's some things he's doing out on the court that are very Duncan-esque. And I think that's a good thing to hold on to and keep around your franchise. So, yeah, Jonte Porter is a good one to keep. And there are some signs that he has some Tim Duncan in him. From what I can see, the way he plays, his team defense and some of the stuff he's doing with his passing is very Tim Duncan-ish. All right, let's see. Tristan saying, we're going to be competitive no matter what. I know I'm not on the team. Drake made it feel like they were a part of the city culture to me. Yeah. I say, you know what? People that say you shouldn't say we when it comes to the team. No. If you're invested like we are, it's a we. It's a we. We're watching every single game. Y'all are here with me in these chats. Yeah, it's a we. And they would talk about it's us too. The team would say that. It's us, the team, the city, the people, the fans. It's us. It's we. And a lot of people would say, no, you're not on the team. Why do you say we? If we beat the Celtics, why do you say that, Lex? I'm just like, well, because I'm that invested. I'm that invested. And sure, I'm not on the court making millions of dollars and dunking the ball. But I think it's we. I think that every sports nation, if you really care about the team, it becomes we. And everybody who's outside saying, why do you say that? That's not accurate. Or people that laugh at that. Well, you just don't get sports. And you don't get just how close a fan nation can be with their team. And it does become we. That's right. It does become we. I saw that Drake's son was at the game last night, but not Drake. Adonis sitting in the courtside seats of Drake. And it's really because his favorite player is Jason Tatum. Yeah, I know that for a fact. That Adonis wanted to go to the game last night, and I guess Dad didn't want to go. So they sent some handler with Adonis. and he sat at courtside to watch his favorite, Jason Tatum, play against the Raptors. I'm pretty sure that's why he was there last night. Yeah. Let's see. Wayne saying, Fiercey, I'm off Chris, Gary, and McDaniels for a while now. I believe in the process with improved outcomes. Gary is not improved. Chris has peaked, and McDaniels is not suited for the NBA, period. I don't know if that's totally true. There's certain things that McDaniels does that I like. There are certain things. I think that in a similar way to Precious, he's a project. Now, he's a different kind of project. And in some ways, some of the things he's going to do is infuriate you. But there is talent, and there's certain things about Jalen McDaniels that's worthwhile. In fact, there were times last night where I was saying, I'm glad Jalen's on our team because in some ways we need his depth and his talent on our team to an extent because there is talented things he can do. There was some of the stuff that he was doing with Scott on our offense that was very interesting. Scott trying to play off of him and get him open with varied success. Now, Gary, I could say this. Gary is a mystery. In some ways, Gary kind of mystifies me and he upsets me and what's happened with him this year. Chris, I could say you're probably right. Chris has probably hit his ceiling. And what you get from Chris is what you're going to get. And that's where you want to figure out your pay scale for him and whether you want to keep him around is what it is. But I don't know. In some ways, we could improve the bench further past getting rid of some of the guys we already just got rid of. Jill saying Gary still has plantar fasciitis and he's gained weight. That's what Chris has said. Chris is in a slump for sure. So far, McDaniel starts well, then falls apart. Yeah, there's just an inconsistency around these players in general. I get it. Chris is probably the most consistent of all of them, though, overall. MSJ saying, my take on the team is to forge the hardest chain you can. And Wayne, Strainer, they are weak links. Always work on your greatest weakness to get better. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that kind of strategy. I can't. And Chris is saying at Jill, are you saying Gary is fat? I think she's getting behind you and your conspiracy theories about Gary Trent Jr. being too fat this season. I think that's still a little crazy, but you're getting more people behind you here now. Kevin's saying RJ's so good at driving to the lane. We needed a player like this. Yeah, Kevin Thompson, isn't he fun? I'm so enjoying watching RJ play. I really am. I'm enjoying Quickly too. Don't get me wrong. I feel like Quickly's got more to rein in. I feel like RJ's got a more mature game. And he's very smart about what he's doing. Now, if he's going to make his shots or not make his shots, well, we're going to see from time to time. Sometimes he's not going to make his shots, but sometimes he's going to make his shots. His outside three, that's going to be a really big one. And then obviously finishing around the basket, he's so good down there. I'm really enjoying Barrett being a Raptor. I really am. And I want him to stay long term. Stargate saying, what happened to the whole fade for Cade movement? How's that working out for the team that did fade for Cade? Yeah, what is this fade for Cade thing? I've never heard of this. Is this something in Pistons Nation? It's not in our team, right? We're not fading for Cade. Why? Why would we do that? He's already been drafted. Fade for Cade. Fade for Cade movement. That's an interesting movement. I never heard about that. Cool Cat saying, back from my meeting. We're having a long session today. I'm going to try and be done by 2 hours. I got about 20 minutes. Let's see. Randolph saying, Lex, getting our pick and other picks gives us players for our G League development. That's how we build. Yeah, I'd feel better about that if we had a real coach down there. Now, if we had a real coach, then I'd be like, yeah, send everybody down there. But I don't feel like we have a coach on the G League level. So, like, what's the deal with sending anybody down there? Country Kong saying, where was Grady last night? The Celtics used their zone again last night, just like they did our previous 3 matchups. With Gary out, to me, it was imperative to have Grady or at least Temple available. Temple was available. We could have had him. But Porter wasn't, Trent wasn't, and Grady was not available last night. He had something on his thumb. If you saw him on the bench, he has a thumb contusion on one of his shooting hand, I think. So that's why Grady wasn't available. He was a scratch during the day. And on the Facebook chat in our Raptor Freak family Facebook group, we got everybody up to date on all the injuries during the day as they happened. We announced that kind of stuff. So we knew Grady wasn't going to be available yesterday. And we found out Gary wouldn't be too also. And those were key guys. And what you're saying, yeah, they use that zone. We could have used those guys as zone bust for sure. For sure, JP. You're right. And Otto Porter Jr., another one. Let's see. Chris is saying, I think Grady is still on the plan to success and they don't play him. No, he was hurt. He was a scratch. He was actually on the injury list and he was not allowed to play. Monique is apologizing to Randolph for deleting a comment. It was an accident. I read it still, and I was able to see it. Fiercely saying, I just remembered Porter Jr.'s contract was for 2 years. Have a feeling he won't come back next season. Yeah, either way, whatever. Once again, y'all can say he's a waste, he's this or that or whatever. I don't care about that stuff. Players come and play. You get what you get. Sometimes you get Olajuwon. Sometimes you get Alonzo Mourning. Sometimes you get RJ Barrett. So in some ways, that's just what it is. Everybody's saying, oh, Fred left for nothing. Well, these are contracts. They have ends to them. And sometimes you just don't go forward with certain people. That's just how it goes. Otto Porter Jr. is not going to be a part of our team next year. So be it. So be it. We get what we got from him for the last couple of years. People can say he was stealing money, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's what it is. This is part of GMing and being a part of the NBA. Nothing's for sure. And in some ways, you have to try stuff because in theory, it sounds like a good idea. Okay, we just got put out in the first round against the Philadelphia 76ers and a tough team. And we're going to get a champion, a guy from the Golden State Warriors, and we're going to sign him for 2 years to his contract. And he's a three-point specialist. This sounds real good. This sounds amazing. This sounds like a really smart, good acquisition. It was at that time. Everybody's overjoyed. Wow, we got Otto Porter Jr. on a two-year contract. Well, it's not exactly worked out exactly how we'd hoped. But at that time, that was a good move. That was a damn good move to get a champion of that year from the Warriors, come to our team, fresh off a championship. It just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. In some ways, that's just how things happen sometimes. It's not everything goes according to plan. Not everything. And that's part of the folly of being a perfect person at home that's so perfect, judging all the front offices in the league and say, well, things can go awry. Things can go not completely according to what you wanted. And that's part of the toughness of being an NBA GM, y'all, that y'all don't even realize. Wayne saying, somehow Dennis' so-called action doesn't bother me. What bothers me is players getting the lead by paint aggression and assists. Then we go opposite way with three-point misses consistently. Think Raps. Yeah, I can get behind this completely with Wayne. I'm 100% behind him on this. The stuff after the game, I don't care. The game's over. The game's over. In some ways, this is, Wayne, who's been very critical of our team celebrating Canadians and former players coming back to our city and putting them on blast in the middle of the game. He gets upset about that, but he doesn't get upset about a jersey swap and a well-wish to the Celtics from Dennis Schroeder after the game. He gets mad because he sees that we could go down low and get good scores down there, and we're not going down there. We're settling for threes and playing lazy. In some ways, the team that played lazy last night was the Raptors. The Raptors did not go inside and try and beat them up down low with Scott or Pascal. Instead, they settled for outside shots that they just missed. And, yeah, I'm with Wayne on this 100%. That's the stuff that pisses me off more. Yeah. Right there. Fiercely saying good morning to Cowboy. Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas. They dared us to shoot, and we did in the foot. We are good enough. We're good, though. We have such promise, I believe. There you go, Kareem Thomas. Believe. Yes, I believe too. It's a work in progress. Progress, not perfection. We'll get there. Jill's saying stealing money. Yak being off isn't stealing money. Why would someone say this? Egads. Well, because there's a lot of people that say stuff are stupid, and there's so many stupid opinions out there, and a lot of these people are not Raptors fans or care for the team. They just want to cause problems. So they'll say stuff. They'll come into Raptor space and say, Otto Porter Jr. is stealing money from y'all. I don't know if anybody said Yakob stealing money. It's Otto that they say stealing money. Jill's saying 11 o'clock, drink water. I'm 18 minutes behind. All right, I'm going to have a good finish here. 12 minutes to go. Space Cadet is saying, Dennis couldn't wait until after regular season to say that. I don't like it. Well, he's not going to see these guys again for the rest of the year. He sees Jason Tatum. This is the last time he'll see him. We're not playing them again. So he's saying farewell for the season. Now, if we play them in the first round, well, that'll be different. I'm sure Dennis will say, I take back what I said, and I want to kick your ass right now. Y'all got to realize that Dennis is a competitor, and he's going to compete no matter what. He's an ultimate competitor. This is not him being soft. This is just him reconvening with an old friend and wishing him well. And he has that right, even if it's the Celtics and I hate them and I absolutely despise in some ways that he did it. Well, in some ways, he's got to do what he's got to do. Jill's saying T word, tank. That's the T word. You don't say that word here. And you can't even write it into my chat. No, you can't write that word. So you got to write the T word. It's an unspoken word here. That's right. Fiercely saying, would it be crazy to wish Coach Casey would come back for 905 next year? No, I don't think that's crazy. I love that idea, Fiercely. And I'm going to give you another dunk for that one because I love that idea. We said it the other day. It's like, can we get Coach Casey? I don't think he'll do it. I don't think he'll do it. But somebody who's got some sort of caliber of coaching experience, not somebody who's learning how to be a coach like Eric Curry. That's a big fail. That's the fail right there, Masai. You got to have a good coach. You got to have somebody who knows what they're talking about. You got to have somebody that will inspire respect from the players, and they'll feel like they can get behind and really work hard for it. And that is not Eric Curry, unfortunately. Fiercely saying that, Jill, the T word is tanking. That's right. Well, you wrote it. You can write it all full. I guess I need to ban the word tanking also. I just banned the word tank. Wayne's saying, not belaboring the McDaniels point, but unless he hits the gym hard, his body type doesn't work in the NBA. Not me saying so. Championship winning players, whether we like them or not, they know the game. I mean, I wouldn't disagree that Jalen McDaniels could probably put some more weight and strength and muscle on his body. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I'd love for him to get a bit more like that. But in some ways, he's very much a Boucher type body type. And in some ways, yeah, I get it. They're a detriment, but they're also very interesting because they have a lot of quick length and they can do a lot of very interesting things. I don't know. They're weird hybrid players that may be part of the future coming up for the NBA more so than they were in the past. And that maybe our old school sensibilities say these guys don't belong in the league. They're too easy to push around. But maybe the new NBA doesn't value pushing around defense and they will thrive in the future NBA. I don't know. It's a tough way to kind of call it because the game is changing. It's evolving as always. And Chris Boucher and Jalen McDaniels are the body types that kind of show that this has changed because these guys wouldn't have survived in the old NBA. You know, guys like Sean Bradley and Manute Bol that were super, super tall, but super skinny. They got pushed around and shoved around all over the place. And they really had to do length over people to do anything, but they were getting pushed way out of the way, way out of the way. Jill's saying, oh, it's MSJ who said Gary's gained weight. Why is this stuck in my head? Laugh out loud. Trust the universe. Gary will return successfully. Yeah, he's the one who keeps putting that conspiracy theory that Gary Trent Jr. came back overweight, and that's why he's had a bad year this year. I still feel like Gary is not well. Like he showed up, and when I saw the pictures of them entering the game last night, I said, Gary doesn't look right. And I was right. He was actually sick, and he had to sit out for last night's game. He had an illness. He was sick. Like he's not feeling well. That's why he sat last night, y'all. It wasn't because of his plantar fasciitis. He had the flu. He didn't feel well. That's why he was sitting. And I saw the picture of him coming in. I was like, that dude don't look right. He keeps to me, like I said this before, and some of y'all got mad at me for inferring this, that he's either eating edibles or he's not like totally with it or he's on something that is not totally like, he's not totally cognizant. Like he's not as clear. In some ways, he's glassy-eyed more, and he's a little more lethargic. I have no idea what's going on with Gary. Maybe he's on some sort of prescription for his health, and it's changing his body chemistry and the way he carries himself. He just seems a little more lethargic in general this season than last year, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It could be all kinds of different things with guys. You know that. You know that. Mo's saying positive vibes only. Keep up the great streams, Lex. Thank you, Mo. Thank you. Cut off. Let's try and keep climbing. I'm never giving up, and they know it. Eric Curry, bye. Anytime I can bring him down, I will. Mo's like personal vendetta is taking him down. In some ways, Mo is like Maggie Simpson, and Eric Curry is that baby with the unibrow and the one tooth. That's the feud that's going on here between Eric Curry and Monique, just like the Simpsons and Maggie Simpson looking out the window and seeing that baby across the street and looking at each other, giving that evil eye. Cowboys saying good morning to Fiercey and Miami Heat tomorrow. Yeah, we got to beat the Heat. Get ready for that preview tomorrow. Also, Raptors 905 are at Capital City Go-Go. So we got a double preview tomorrow once again, 2 games, and then a double-double, a back-to-back with the Chicago Bulls coming in right after the Heat on Thursday. Fiercely saying the fact Coach Casey was recently in T-Dot. I'm hoping it was indeed related to working with us again. I've seen more stuff with him ingrained in the Pistons franchise, so I don't think that's true. I think he's fine with being a scout and being like a certain kind of scout for them. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe something happens this summer. I don't know. We'll have to see. Either way, I would be very, very happy to see Coach Casey a part of the Raptors organization in any form once again. I would for sure. Cowboys saying, bring on Miami. Then later, Lex, some Raptor freaks. Let's go. All right, let's do the wrap up real quick. 6 minutes before 2 hours. Tough game last night against the Celtics. Honestly, I feel like this was one of the worst games we played against the Celtics this year. There was the blowout. The first game was the worst one. This is second. The in-season tournament loss wasn't as bad. And then the one where we just lost like by 2 points or 3 points in the last game, that wasn't as bad either. This one was bad. It's too bad. And it really was the very, very poor three-point shooting. 4 of 32, 12.5% from three-point range. You can't win in the NBA when you shoot that poorly and only get 4 three-pointers as a team as a whole. When you got 4 three-pointers yourself, and Derek White has got 5, and he has beaten your whole entire team with his 5 free three-pointers. That's just no good. My 3 stars of the game for this game were R.J. Barrett, Dennis Schroeder, and Thad Young. The Raptors 905 lost the Squadron by 3. They are now 3-6 in the G League season. And my 3 stars for that game were Justice Winslow, Marquise Noel, and Kevin O'Banner. Missed free throws caused them to lose their game in Birmingham yesterday. Instagram stories. We got Miles Burns hanging out in Atlanta, Georgia after the Birmingham game. He went to Atlanta, and he's hanging out in Hartsfield International. And there's some more highlights of Miles Burns dribbling around. Raptors 905. Y'all remember to go and vote for G League All-Stars along with the NBA All-Stars. Yesterday was a triple vote. I hope everybody got their votes in for Scotty and Pascal yesterday on a triple vote day. Marquise Noel has got his line from yesterday on blast on his Instagram stories, 20, 11, and 6. Great line by Marquise. He's getting love from different people around his social circles. It looks like Dennis's brother, Shay, has come to Canada, and he is visiting Dennis. We may see him on the YouTube, but there he is. He's filming his brother at the game. So Shay was at the game from Germany. So that's pretty cool that Dennis's brother is visiting Canada in Toronto right now. That's very fun. Let's see. What else is there going on? This is not important. This is not important. I think that's it. We'll finish up the Instagram stories there. And if you have a fantasy basketball team in our Raptor Freak Fantasy Yahoo Fantasy League, definitely keep up with it. It's a very competitive league. Wow. Very, very competitive. The Saborin brothers, Duke Rocks, Meredith, some very top teams. The Dick Pick, still undefeated, 12-0 in the season. They're very, very good top teams. And if you're scrapping to be in that top 8, good job. Naco the Nacho holding down that 8 spot with a winning record. It's going to be tough, this league. And who's going to win the championship trophy for our Yahoo Fantasy League? It's a mini Larry O'Brien with the championship ring. This is what the prize is for our Yahoo Fantasy League this year is. So keep your eyes on the prize. It's right here, and keep going. And yeah, don't take weeks off, and try. Because if you're doing well already, keep going. That's right. Let's see. I'll read up the last couple comments, and we'll get out of here. Let's see. Fiercely saying, nah, MSJ. Gary still looks sexy and slender, but business above cuteness. He's inconsistent on and off the court. Performance and availability as a project manager, someone like that wouldn't last. Wow. Fiercely saying, on my team, nope. You're inconsistent. You're not showing up. We can't count on you. There you go. And most saying, welcome home to the GROAT. Kyle Lowry coming back tomorrow. And Cowboys got RJ on blast. I like that. And Fiercely saying, Lex, how about we can use the T word if it's not pertaining to the Raptors? A newcomer to the channel may not know they can't write it in the chat. Either way, there's certain words I just didn't want in the chat at all. And that was one of them. Because we had a lot of people coming in over the years of this channel trying to talk that tank talk. And we ain't about it. No, we ain't here. No, we're not. We play to win. That's what we do. Trevor's saying we will win the rest of the home games. All right. We got to beat Miami tomorrow. That's no easy task. We got to beat the Bulls the next night on the second night of a back-to-back. It'd be great if we could get Yakob back magically. If he could heal like Kyle Lowry real quick and show up and be available for the game tomorrow night, I'd be very happy. Maybe he doesn't show up for Miami, but he's there for Chicago and Vucevic. That would be good. That would be very, very good. Wayne saying, is it too much to ask for just a regular whistle from the refs? I know we missed too many shots, but just a fair game to watch and enjoy. I think that we get that on a lot of nights. It's not every night, though, for sure. And Chris is saying it is NBA wide. The refs are the hated. I just can't understand why the NBA, aside from money, does this to the game. Well, referees are going to piss people off all the time anyway. They're going to piss people off because that's just the nature of their job. And in some ways, they want to make sure they're pissing people off all equally. But they don't, certain nations. Some of them they kind of look out for, like the Lakers and the Celtics. Seymour saying, I don't want to lose Pascal. Please keep him, please. I'm with you. Fiercely saying, I do my best with Yahoo Fantasy, change my lineups daily, but still lose. But I really like it. Thanks, Lex. Well, I'm glad you're learning, Fiercely. You got to understand there's a learning curve. Some of the people that we're playing with have played a lot of fantasy sports, and they're good at them. They understand what they're doing. And you're more of a beginner. You just played for the first time in our WNBA league last summer, and you learned some stuff from that. You're learning from this. So there's levels. In some ways, you're building up, just like an NBA team would. You're building up your acumen and your experience. And, if you keep playing, you probably will contend in the years to come. For sure. I could see it. Jillian saying, vote Noel. Form is the keys to fundamentals. Yes. And Cool Cat saying, Lex, Raptors challenges after the chip is similar to Warriors' our experience right now. Young players need developing while veterans want to win chip. Winning while developing challenges. Yeah. In some ways, there's not just two modes. I think this is a problem with a lot of NBA fans these days, is they either look at it as either you're playing for the championship or you're in complete rebuild, complete in the bottom mode. No, there's a whole spectrum, and you're somewhere in the middle in between, and there's percentages of which one you are. And that's the problem. Everybody bought this whole idea, and this was true around 2010, but it's not anymore, that you either got to be all very bad or all very good. And being stuck in the middle is a purgatory that you never, ever want to get into as a team. Because if you're just stuck in the middle, you're not bad enough to get high draft picks to get better, to be a higher player playing team, or you're up at the top, and that's just where you want to be all the time. It's not realistic. There's going to be middle places that people are going to be in, and the Raptors are in the middle place. And it doesn't mean we're going to be stuck in that middle place no matter what, and not get back up to the top again. No, that's not what it means. In some ways, you got to go through the middle to get to the top now. And you can't just go straight from the bottom and being a shitty team and going all the way up to the top. No, it doesn't work that way in the NBA. And that's the problem with some of the things that they're trying to say right now with fan nations and how we're supposed to do things. Jill's saying 11:30. Yeah, we're out. We are out. And vote Pascal and Scotty. I like it. Cheers to everyone from Cowboy, and vote 905. Alley-oop to who do you want? Oh, to me. Okay, thanks, Cowboy. That's very nice of you to give me an alley-oop right at the end. All right, y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you enjoy this channel, you want to support it, you can join also with a membership. It will help. Half court heave alley-oop to me. All right. I'm like way down the court, and you guys just did like a football pass in honor of the Buffalo Bills winning their game. Jack Armstrong, very happy about the Bills winning. Yeah, very, very happy. All right, y'all. Let's go Raptors. And tomorrow I'll have the preview, Miami Heat and Capital City Go-Go. So I'll see y'all tomorrow morning around 9:15 tomorrow. Let's go Raptors.